Things that once felt simple may suddenly become complicated. The people around you might start misunderstanding you. Opportunities you were counting on might slip away, and situations you thought were stable may begin to shake. But here's what you have to understand. That pressure is not a sign that God has forgotten about you. It's actually a powerful indicator that he's preparing you for something greater than you imagine. Many times we think that when God is about to bless us, everything will become smooth, easy, and peaceful. But if you study the Bible and even reflect on your own life, you'll realize that just before a major breakthrough, there's almost always a battle. That's because new levels come with new resistance. You're not just walking into a blessing, you're being developed to carry what's coming. Before David became king, he faced Goliath. Before Joseph was promoted to second in command of Egypt, he was betrayed by his brothers and thrown into prison. Before Jesus stepped into his purpose, he was led into the wilderness to be tested. Pressure often precedes promotion. Warfare often precedes a word being fulfilled. So when it feels like everything is coming against you, you might actually be getting closer than you think. See, the enemy doesn't waste energy attacking someone who poses no threat. If you're feeling targeted, it's likely because there's something on your life that hell wants to stop. That resistance is spiritual. It's not just about what's happening around you, it's about what God is doing inside of you. You're being stretched, not to break, but to grow. You're being challenged, not to be crushed, but to be sharpened. Sometimes that pressure feels like confusion. You start questioning, why is everything going wrong all of a sudden? Or why do I feel like I'm doing all the right things but still getting pushed back? That's not the time to give up. It's the time to press in. That's not the time to retreat. It's the time to remember what God promised. Pressure is a test. Will you give up when it gets hard? Or will you keep walking in faith even when it doesn't make sense? This is where God does some of his best work. When you're under pressure, when you're tired, when you're on the verge of quitting, he allows you to walk through those moments because he's building something in you that can't be developed on the mountaintop. Oil doesn't come from olives unless they're crushed. Diamonds don't form without intense heat and pressure. The calling on your life is too big to be released without a refining process. You might be praying for peace, and God is allowing pressure. You might be asking for comfort, and he's allowing conflict. Why? Because peace and comfort don't prepare you for war. Pressure teaches you how to pray when there's no one to encourage you. Pressure teaches you how to trust when everything seems unstable. Pressure teaches you to lean on God when your strength runs out. That's what makes the pressure holy. It's not the enemy's tool, it's God's instrument. What the enemy meant to use to destroy you, God is using to define you. You're being refined by fire, and what comes out will be stronger, purer, and ready to handle what's next. If you rush this process, you'll miss what God is trying to do in you before he does something through you. Sometimes we misinterpret resistance as rejection. We think God is saying no when he's really saying not yet. We think he's closing the door for good when really he's strengthening you to walk through it with authority. Don't let the pressure fool you. It's not a sign of failure. It's a signal of formation. It's proof that something is shifting in the spiritual realm. If you knew what was on the other side of this battle, you wouldn't be discouraged by the weight of it. You'd be encouraged that you're even in the fight. You'd recognize that the attack is just confirmation that something big is coming. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. You're not being delayed, you're being developed. God is taking you through this season not to harm you, but to make sure that when the blessing comes, you won't just receive it, you'll sustain it. So don't shrink back. Don't lose heart. Don't let the pressure push you into fear or doubt. Let it drive you deeper into God's presence. Let it push you into prayer. Let it remind you that you're closer than you've ever been. This is not the time to give up. This is the time to stand firm, knowing that what's pressing you is also positioning you. The pressure you feel right now is not a sign of failure. It's the evidence that God is about to do something big. When God is about to give you something big, one of the most misunderstood signs is when doors start closing around you. Opportunities you thought were guaranteed begin to vanish. Relationships you depended on start drifting. Environments that once felt comfortable suddenly become tight, unfamiliar, or even hostile. You might find yourself asking, God, why are you letting this happen? Why does it feel like everything is falling apart? But here's the truth. Sometimes things aren't falling apart. They're falling into place. What feels like rejection is often redirection. When God is about to elevate you, he will start to remove anything that can't go with you. We don't always recognize God's strategy in the moment because it rarely looks like what we expect. We imagine increase will come with more connections, more access, more comfort. But when God is preparing you for something big, he often starts by narrowing your path. That's because what he's calling you to is too specific, too significant to be shared with everyone or attached to every opportunity. Closed doors are a sign that he's being intentional with your future. He's not trying to frustrate you. He's trying to focus you. Think about how a GPS works. If you take a wrong turn, it doesn't abandon the journey. It recalculates. It redirects you to make sure you still reach your destination. God works the same way. Sometimes he has to interrupt our plans to keep us aligned with his purpose. That interruption may come in the form of a lost job, a missed opportunity, or a relationship that unexpectedly ends. But even in what looks like loss, God is leading you. There are times when God will let you walk through a season of no so he can prepare you for a better yes. The job you didn't get, it wasn't rejection, it was protection. The relationship that didn't last, it wasn't a mistake, it was a lesson. The plan that didn't work out, it wasn't the end, it was a reroute. God sees the whole picture. He knows what you need in the next season, and sometimes that means stripping away the things you thought you couldn't live without. Closed doors can hurt. They can confuse you. You may even feel abandoned. But faith is trusting that even when you don't understand the why, God is still good. He's still in control. And his plan is still working for your good. You might feel like you're losing time, but God is never late. He's using every detour, every delay, and every disappointment to shape you for what's coming. We often try to force things that God is trying to free us from. We cling to the familiar because it's comfortable, even if it's no longer fruitful. But when God has more for you, he won't let you stay stuck. He'll stir your spirit. He'll dry up the resources around you. He'll make you uncomfortable, not to punish you, but to push you into purpose. And if you're paying attention, you'll notice that it's in those seasons of sudden shifts that you start to hear his voice more clearly. Why? Because when the noise of what used to work fades away, you're finally quiet enough to listen. Redirection often leads to revelation. God will close a door to open your eyes. He'll remove a comfort to unlock your calling. He'll shut down a plan so he can show you his provision. Don't fight the process. Don't get stuck looking back at what didn't work out. What you thought was the finish line was just a checkpoint. What felt like an end was actually a transition. And transitions are not punishments. They are passages into the next level of your calling. Think of Moses and the Israelites. They left Egypt thinking they were headed straight to the promised land, but God led them through the wilderness. Why? Because they weren't ready yet. He had to remove Egypt from their mindset. He had to teach them to rely on him. It looked like a detour, but it was actually divine preparation. The wilderness wasn't wasted, it was necessary. The same is true for you. The doors that have closed in your life are not signs of defeat. They are signs of destiny. God is editing your story so that what's ahead won't be sabotaged by what's behind. The wrong door has to close so the right one can open. The wrong people have to leave so the right ones can come in. The wrong opportunities have to fade so the right purpose can shine. If everything stayed the same, you wouldn't grow. You wouldn't stretch. You wouldn't step out in faith. So when God allows something to be removed, trust that he's not taking something from you. He's making space for something better. Let go of what you thought it had to be so that you can receive what he's actually planned. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust the process. Doors may be closing, but heaven is opening. God is not done. He's just getting started. When God is about to give you something big, something shifts on the inside before it ever shows up on the outside. There's this unshakable stirring in your spirit. It's not loud. It's not always clear, but it's undeniable. You wake up with the sense that something is about to change. You can't explain it to the people around you because it doesn't come from anything external. It's an inner prompting. You feel like you're being pulled out of the ordinary into something greater, even though nothing around you has changed yet. That stirring is a sign. It's heaven's whisper to your spirit that a divine shift is underway. What's interesting about this kind of stirring is that it often comes during seasons that seem still or even stagnant. Life may feel routine. Everything may look the same, but deep within, there's this restlessness. Not a bad kind of restlessness, not anxiety, but a holy discomfort. You feel unsettled, not because something is wrong, but because something new is being born. That's how God works. Before he does something new around you, he begins stirring something new within you. It's like God is enlarging your capacity to receive what he's about to release. And that enlargement doesn't come through comfort. It comes through conviction. You begin to sense that the place you're in can't contain what God is placing in you. That inner unease isn't a sign that you're off track. It's often a sign that you're growing. God is stretching you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally to prepare you for the next level. You may not even know what you're being prepared for yet, but your spirit knows something is coming. This stirring will make you lose your appetite for things that used to satisfy you. You won't be able to settle for surface level conversations, shallow goals, or empty routines. It will feel like God is removing your taste for anything that's not aligned with your purpose, and that can feel confusing. You might wonder why you're suddenly discontent with the things you used to love, but that discontent is divine. It's God weaning you off of what was so you can hunger for what is to come. You'll find yourself being drawn to places and people that challenge you, that call more out of you, that make you uncomfortable in a good way. You'll start desiring growth, even when it requires sacrifice. That's because the stirring of your spirit comes with a shift in your priorities. You begin to care more about purpose than popularity, more about obedience than opinion, more about alignment than applause. And don't be surprised if the people around you don't understand. They might think you're being distant or different. They might question why you're not doing what you used to do, but you're not trying to impress anyone. You're being called higher. You're being set apart for something greater. The shift is spiritual. It's between you and God. You don't need everyone to agree with it. You just need to be faithful to it. Sometimes this stirring will also show up in your dreams. You start seeing things in your spirit that don't match your current reality. You begin to envision yourself in rooms you've never entered, doing things you've never done. And while your environment may not match what you're seeing, don't dismiss those visions. That's not your imagination, it's revelation. God gives you glimpses of your future to prepare your faith for what's coming. And this is where the battle intensifies, not on the outside, but in your mind. Because when God gives you a stirring, the enemy will try to plant seeds of doubt. You'll hear thoughts like, who do you think you are? Or that dream is too big. or nothing's changed, so why are you expecting more? But the fact that the enemy is fighting you there tells you that something valuable is on the way. If it weren't significant, it wouldn't be under attack. That's why you have to protect what God is stirring. You have to guard your focus, your time, your energy. Don't let distractions rob you of this sacred season. If God is pulling you into prayer more, respond. If he's waking you up in the middle of the night, listen. If he's putting people on your heart to forgive, obey. These inner shifts are preparation for the outer breakthroughs. What you steward in private, God will honor in public. And understand this, the stirring doesn't always mean something is coming tomorrow. It might take time, but that doesn't make it any less real. Abraham waited years. Joseph waited in prison. David waited in the fields. But all of them had a stirring before the promise. What kept them going wasn't evidence. It was expectation. That's what the stirring is meant to do. Build your faith, strengthen your trust, and align your heart. So if you're in that place right now, if you feel the stir but haven't seen the shift, don't be discouraged. God is working. He's moving. He's preparing. And what he's about to do will not just bless you. It will transform you. Stay sensitive, stay surrendered, stay ready. When God is about to give you something big, one of the most beautiful signs is that you start receiving divine confirmations and experiencing uncommon favor. It's like heaven starts speaking your language. You begin to notice little signs, repeated messages, unexpected encouragements, and divine alignments that are too precise to be coincidence. It might be a scripture you read in the morning that is then echoed in a sermon, a song, or even a conversation later that day. It could be a word of encouragement from someone who had no idea what you were going through. Suddenly, it's as if God is surrounding you with reminders. I'm with you. I haven't forgotten. Keep going. These divine confirmations may not always come with fireworks or dramatic miracles, but they show up in the details. And when you're spiritually alert, you begin to recognize that God is speaking through people, through moments, and through circumstances. It might be a closed door that gives you peace instead of panic, or a new opportunity that arrives at just the right time, too perfectly timed to be anything but God. These moments are evidence that his hand is guiding you, even when you can't see the full picture. Sometimes God will send confirmation through repetition. You keep hearing the same phrase, seeing the same verse, or encountering the same message everywhere you go. That's not random, it's intentional. God knows how to get your attention. He knows how to communicate with your spirit in a way that resonates deeply. Even when you doubt yourself, God will keep confirming what he's placed in you. He does it to strengthen your faith and to give you peace about what's coming. And when you align with his will, favor begins to follow. Not because you've earned it, but because he's ordained it. Favor opens doors you didn't even knock on. It causes people to bless you who don't even know why. It puts you in places your resume couldn't get you and gives you opportunities your experience didn't prepare you for. That's how God works when he's about to do something big. He goes before you and makes a way where there wasn't one. Uncommon favor looks like the right connection at the right time. It looks like being remembered in rooms where your name wasn't even mentioned before. It's walking into situations where everything just seems to fall into place, not because you manipulated it, but because God orchestrated it. That's how you know it's him. Because it's beyond your ability to make it happen. It's not the result of striving, it's the fruit of surrender. But favor doesn't mean life will be easy. It means God will be with you in the midst of it all. His hand will guide you even in uncertain places. You'll walk into unfamiliar territory and still feel at home because his presence goes before you. You may face opposition, but you'll also experience provision. You may be misunderstood, but you'll also be strengthened. That's the balance of walking in divine favor. Battles may come, but blessings will follow. It's important to stay humble in these moments. When favor begins to flow, don't forget who opened the door. Don't mistake God's grace for your own greatness. Use the platform he gives you to glorify him, not yourself. Favor isn't about fame. It's about impact. It's about walking in such alignment with God's will that even your presence becomes a blessing to others. When God gives you favor, it's not just